is going on, everyone? Welcome to the SHIPIT Nation Cash Game Show for Week 1 of the NFL season. We are back, or I guess, as the kids say nowadays, we are so back. You have to add in the so to fit in with the younger crowd. We are so back. Feels so good. First game, obviously, last night was, man, it's going to be hard to top this NFL season because that was a really, really good game from an entertainment standpoint. If you watch that video in the opening, very successful showdown slate for Team SHIPIT Nation. A lot of big wins right out of the gate, which is good to see. Community was on point last night, and the show that we did yesterday covering the showdown slate, I think was pretty solid in terms of the path and the potential plays and whatnot. But yeah, we're here to talk some cash. So not like any other cash show. We have a guy in the show that is grinding cash every single slate, not only NFL, but he's in the cash streets all the time. It's my guy Title, and we'll be here every Friday at this time, 1 p.m. Eastern. Same guys, same time. And we did it last year right at this time slot as well. So running it straight back. And like I said, joined by Title. We'll be here all season talking cash games each and every week. Title, what's going on? I know you're very excited about NFL. We're back.
We're back. That feels weird. Like, I don't know what the kids do anymore. I'm out of that. You teach me with your own kids what the kids actually say. Mm-hmm. So we're so back. I don't know if I'm going to be saying that much. My man John here, we're so back.
That's all I'm seeing. We're so back, and maybe that'll be our thing. We'll add in the extra so. We'll say so. The kids nowadays have a lot of different things, and my daughter is now middle school, so she's coming home with all this lingo and all these terms that they're using. But the funniest one, this just reminded me, she came home. It might have been last year when she was in 6th grade, and everyone says bro. Like the boys say bro. Yeah. The girls call each other bro. So if she's talking to her girlfriends, they say bro. So I started calling her bro, and she's like, you say bro? I was like, that word, that term, and how you're using it has been around since when I was a kid. We were saying bro. She's like, you don't know what bro means. I was like, yeah, I know what bro means, but it is kind of funny. But we are so back. So if you're looking for the term, we are so back. And according to our guy, Johnny in here, we're so back.
Yeah, Sean, I'm a youth pastor, and the lingo I hear is wild. Yeah, I'm glad I'm out of that space a little bit, but hey, we are back for sure. It's free money Sunday, a couple sleeps away. We got content today, though. Packers, as you see, Go Collect said, I got to rep my team. Yeah, it turned into a jersey week for me because it had to be McKinney yesterday with the Chiefs playing. I couldn't not wear Packers. No, I think Sunday I'm just going to keep the tradition. So week 1 jerseys, after that, nothing. But, yeah, I'm excited to talk some cash. I mean, 96% of my action, I'll just say, maybe even more, is in cash games every week on multiple sites. So there's still an edge. It's a grind, no doubt about that. I will say week 1, pricing's been out for a while, pretty concentrated. I think it's fairly straightforward at multiple positions, which means 1v1s, 2v2s, 3v3s, which isn't the most fun. So maybe it is a little better week to go a little more tournaments, a little less cash. Again, I'll still be in there. And definitely want to mention FanDuel. We'll talk FanDuel and DraftKings. FanDuel does include Sunday Night Football, and no better week to start it off. Your Lions taking on the Rams, biggest total of the week at 52. That is going to be important. So, yeah, as you see right up there too, definitely read that yellow. MMA, as you guys know, MMA Saturdays, I'm in there always. So if it's a late card, I'm doing NFL work while doing that. So it'll be up Saturday night then. Otherwise, regardless, like an early card, I'll have it up sometime Saturday afternoon night, but always subject to change. Sunday morning and all that will be in yellow. If it's within the last hour, I'll take the NFL chat.
Yep, absolutely. And so how this works in terms of our content, this is the show we do every week, like I said. And the goal for this show, I would say, would be to start to develop that cash player pool, like potential guys at each position. And that's kind of how this show will go. We're going to go position by position. We'll talk quarterbacks on DK. We'll talk quarterbacks on FanDuel. Running backs on DK. Running backs on FanDuel. Go back and forth. Cover it all. Start to develop that player pool. And then you come back Saturday night, Sunday morning, and this is what you get as a paid subscriber. It would be 4 cores on DK, 4 cores on FanDuel, and then obviously if you follow the rest of our content, you'll be able to fill out the rest of the team. This week a little bit different. That's how it always is for week one. I mean, there's usually a pretty clear path in terms of what you're going to do. The one thing that definitely stands out to me in terms of cash games this week is a lot of the high-priced studs. We have some wide receivers, but are off the main slate. I mean, you have these primetime games. You got the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Packers, the Eagles tonight, and it takes
San Fran.
Yeah. So there's just a lot fewer pass. There's a couple clear spends, obviously, but man, it's and then you throw in soft pricing too. It's always soft pricing week one of the NFL season to get those GPPs filled up. And you get a pretty clear path. But any initial thoughts outside of that? I know you said it is pretty clear, but anything else stand out to you for week one or just cash games in general throughout the entire NFL season?
Yeah, each week is kind of different in cash games. One thing that we were way ahead of the curve on, I've been talking cash with you for years now, receivers in the flex, everyone just automatically put running backs, especially this is more so on DraftKings, full point PPR. FanDuel still half point, which leans more to touchdowns, which usually more touchdown equity at running backs. But I mean, the league has changed. Like when we started talking cash years ago, I mean, there was workhorse backs still. People were getting 25 touches a game. Nowadays, as we saw yesterday with the Ravens and Zay Flowers, a run play is a screen right away. Get it, screen pass, 2 linemen go out, a wide receiver screen. That's a full point right there. That's 10 yards it takes to run. So receivers have been more king. Sometimes double tight end works too because the lowest price that tight end can be is $2,500, whereas running backs is $4K, receivers is $3K. So you sometimes do get a double punt tight end. I don't think it's the route this week, but when you want to jam in, the studs are just underpriced. Tyreek shouldn't be under 9K, but when you get the Jeffersons of the world, Tyreeks of the world, CDs of the world, C-Mac on the slates, and you want to go stars and scrubs, sometimes double tight end is viable. But I'd say I play the most wide receiver in the flex nowadays on DraftKings. But slate overview.
You're definitely one of the first doing it. I mean, a lot of people, it was always 3 running backs no matter what. Able to see, for 2 main reasons, why wide receivers and tight ends are a little more viable in the flex. A lot of teams go into multiple running backs. It's very easy to see. I mean, you probably see more of it, honestly, this season. That's probably the biggest differential is you just don't have the workhorse backs. And then you have those slates where you want the studs. You can go the tight end, but so many teams going to running back by committee, mixing in multiple. Even saw it even last night. I mean, Justice Hill had a legitimate role, and we talked about it on the show. I mean, it wasn't going to be Justice Hill just kind of coming in there for third downs. I think he was in the second play of the game. I mean, they let Henry get the first run play, and then Justice Hill was right in there. So even guys that you think are going to be workhorse backs, there's on a majority of teams, there's someone right there lurking that's going to get some of that work. So you're definitely ahead of the curve on not automatically just jamming 3 running backs in there, especially on DK, but it's becoming more viable, a little more viable on FanDuel as well. And then teams are obviously going to passing more, like Go Collect said, those little what do I call them, screen passes, or not screen passes, but the where they just toss it out to them real quick and the guys are instantly blocking.
I call it a wide receiver screen, or sometimes it's just the number games Rodgers plays sometimes too. Just get it out, beat one man.
Yeah. All right. We'll get into it. Before we do, though, hit the like, hit the subscribe on this video. It helps us out a ton. All our shows and videos over at SHIPIT Nation are free. The way we can keep those free is if we get the likes and subscription numbers up on this channel. And then if you guys have any questions along the way, the show probably will move a little quicker because of how obvious some of these plays are and the build pass. So if you have questions, just fire them in the chat, and we'll pull them up. As you can see here, we are screen sharing. This is our optimizer at shipitnation.com. If you have a membership, you can get access to this. It is the most affordable optimizer in the industry. All our content is the most affordable. You start looking around what people are charging per sport. And man, it's big boy price tags. A commitment we made to ourselves and our members right out of the gate is we're never taking our price tag up high. We're going to keep it in the value range, keep it very affordable and below all our competitors. We've been able to do that. And then with the addition of the Shiptimizer, it becomes an even better value because, man, some of these optimizers, very, very expensive. And we've worked very hard on this one throughout the off season. So NFL, we'll start here. We're going to start at quarterbacks. I have it sorted by just projected points. I mean, a lot of times we're looking for, when you're playing cash games, you're looking for who's the best value. With the soft pricing this week and not many guys, not many studs on the slate, I think we can kind of look at just raw projection fantasy points and also value as well. But if you just look at the raw projected fantasy points, Josh Allen at 8K is at the top. CJ Stroud 7,500 is the second. You have Burrow, Richardson at 63. A lot of cheap options that you can go to, but you got to spend somewhere. So at quarterback, if you do sort by value, Jaden Daniels is the top option. Has obviously looked really good in the preseason. He's cheap, 5,700. He can get there on the ground. Baker Mayfield at 56, Geno Smith at 55, Anthony Richardson. These guys are showing up as the best values. Who are some guys that we can look at for cash games, quarterback position on DraftKings?
I'm going to keep it easy. I'm playing Richardson unless something pretty dramatic changes. I mean, the dude was an absolute baller last year when he was healthy. The problem with him is it's more season-long best ball because he loves using his legs so much. Big frame, doesn't always slide. Concussions knocked him out. But, I mean, man, he's a DFS monster. Second highest total on the slate, for him. In a dome, at home. I mean, Texans will be driving. Colts will be driving. +3. Everything lines up for Richardson. Look at the price difference. Pricing we have a lot of pricing soft, so you can spend up elsewhere. But 1,700 difference between Josh Allen and Richardson. I just think I'd rather use that 1,700 to upgrade another wide receiver or a running back or something like that. Going down a little more in his range. I prefer Richardson to Kyler. Way higher team total, a little better game environment in a dome. Going down a little bit like Jaden Daniels. The risk reward isn't enough. That's someone I'll be looking at in tournaments. The same thing, rushing upside. But this is his first NFL game. Dogs isn't playing in a dome. All these guys, I'm not going to talk about too many because I know I'm playing Richardson, but he just seems like a slam dunk play on both sides. I think there is a little more options on FanDuel than DK, but 6,300 is just too cheap for his floor ceiling combo.
So if you needed to save some money, you needed $500 more or $400 more, who would be the guy that you would go to? Would it be Jaden Daniels or would it be somebody else?
It'd probably be Caleb Williams. Then again, at 5'9", that's 400. If I needed a little more, it'd be Daniels. But I feel better with Caleb Williams. He has more talent around him. All the hype coming with him. Daniels has a lot of rushing upside, but it's not the easiest matchup. And obviously they lost Dotson, or not lost, they traded Dotson. So it's really just Scary Terry. There's just guys like him, it's more of a wait and see. Cash games, you don't want to get it wrong in cash games. If I try and find the 200 to Caleb Williams.
Yeah, and I totally get this point. Houston's defense is going to be much better this year. They added Hunter and Anderson, year 2, Ryan's defense. Yeah, I get all that, but we're still playing a fantasy game, and good fantasy quarterbacks can get there against good or improved defenses. The floor is just so high on a guy like Richardson. I mean, if he at his price
plus 120 to score, meaning that means on the ground.
As soon as he finds the end zone on the ground, if he does, let's say he does, you're free rolling the rest of the way. Whatever else he does, you're good to go because you're assuming you got 7, 8, 9 fantasy points. He's going to throw for some yards. It's these running quarterbacks. Man, once they get there on the ground, everything else is a bonus. So I get the defense argument.
I hope people didn't forget. Just go back and watch the first couple weeks of Richardson when he was healthy before he was out for the year. Yeah. I mean, that dude was putting up numbers. Yep. In the game he got hurt, he had 18 in the first quarter. You don't want to miss that.
He was cruising. So over on FanDuel, there's a big group of guys in this same price range. Richardson's a little more expensive at 8,300. Sort by value here, which I do have sorted by value. There's a big group. You have Jaden Daniels, 7K. Caleb Williams, 71. I'm not playing Bo Nix, so he does rank well, but I would never consider him in cash games. You have Baker, you have Geno. Tua, I mean, the Dolphins are projected to score a lot. He's 7,700. What are your thoughts over here on FanDuel, where Richardson, the gap is a little bigger between him and some of these other guys?
Yeah, and the gap's a little smaller with Josh Allen and Richardson. And FanDuel's usually a spot where I tend to pay up at quarterback. Usually it's a little softer, some of those wide receiver pricing. But I think Josh Allen's definitely way more in play. And my lean right now is I'm playing Josh Allen or then I'm going to Richardson. If you need to save, there is a big enough gap. Like Caleb Williams at 7,100. If that 1,200 does go a long enough way, the thing is we're going to get to some of these positions. Like there's enough value that I don't think I'm going to be going below Richardson. My plan right now is Allen Richardson. But again, if it was a different slate, like C-Mac was on the slate, let's say, or something like that, then I would be totally fine playing. Caleb Williams is underpriced at 7-1. Daniels is underpriced at 7K. Again, I feel a little more safe. Would be the Caleb Williams route. Even Trevor Lawrence. I mean, talk about one of the highest totals on the slate as well. 3-point underdogs, should be slinging it. Got Gabe Davis in town. Got Brian Thomas in town. I bought a lot of Jacksonville over the Jacksonville passing game in best ball this year.
Yeah.
But I still like Richardson's rushing upside in such a good game environment at home. Feels so good. And Josh Allen, I mean, I used to play that dude every single week, regardless of the matchup. So we know what he can do on the ground too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think a little more open. I mean, you got Josh Allen, 92. If you have the salary, which we're going to get to the other positions, you're probably going to have a shit ton of salary on FanDuel. You got Watson, or not Watson. You have CJ Stroud and Richardson, a little bit cheaper. I like Stroud as well. And then you can go down and you have a bunch of these guys, 7K. I don't even hate Tua. So I do agree with you. I think it's a little more wide open over here on FanDuel. You can probably fill out the rest of your spots and come back and you'll be able to grab one of these guys at quarterback, just a lot of different ways. And the one thing that we mentioned earlier, but I'm not seeing them on here. What's the price on I don't know why they're not here.
You're talking Gibbs, Montgomerys of the world.
Yeah,
Kyron Williams.
Well,
oh shoot, I already moved over. I already moved.
Yeah, where are the players from that game? I don't think they're listed in here, are they?
Let's see. We got Goff is 7,500 and
that's not bad. I mean,
73.
Goff is
the problem is like I just 73 and 75, right in that range is T-Law and Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
I just think there's a little more rushing upside on both of them. And pocket passers on FanDuel, it's just I've kind of gone away from it just because that 6 points when you do rush in a touchdown means a ton. All those rushing yards add up a lot. But with that all being said, now them adding the 300-yard bonus on FanDuel, again, the 100-yard bonus for receiving and rushing does make those guys a little more in play. But I don't think I'm going to get there with the quarterbacks. Some other skill positions we will talk about that I've mainly receiver. I have some more interest in that game, though.
Yeah, for some reason, those players aren't populating here in that game. But
we'll have to get that.
We'll get it fixed, and we can definitely still talk about them on the show. All right, we'll stick on FanDuel. We'll go to the running back position. Have it sorted by just raw fantasy points right now. Bijan Robinson, 8,800, ETN, 75, James Cook, 76, Alvin Kamara, right at around, 7,100. But they're all pretty darn close in terms of projected fantasy points within one. If you sort by value, let's see what we have. Tajee Spears at 5,400, Alvin Kamara, 71. Kamara, home favorites. They're favored by like 4, I think, against the Panthers. That definitely makes sense. James Cook, I think, makes sense. No Stephon Diggs. I have to imagine they run it a little more, and he had a good, really strong finish to the season. But seems like a pretty wide open position. And nothing really standing out. I think if anything stands out to me right now, it would probably be Alvin Kamara, 7,100. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I would go with both the running backs in that same game, Kamara and Chuba Hubbard. No Jonathan Brooks. He's going to be out the first 4 games for Carolina. So he was the rookie that they planned on implementing as the starter. Was probably going to be a running back by committee. With him not starting off, you have 5,600 Chuba as a starting running back. So there's value right there. And Kamara, he's plus 100 to score, 7,100. That's definitely value. I mean, we know how good Kamara is. And some of these other running backs, RB1s on this slate, Bijan's 8,800, Jonathan Taylor's 86, Gibbs 8K, Kyron Williams 78, Rachaad White 77. Like you're getting 600, 1,000, 1,400 discounts with a very good running back, like you said, in a dome as a favorite and even money to score a touchdown. So that screams a lot of value. Those two would be my favorites. But again, mainly more on FanDuel. I'm almost always playing 3 running backs in the flex because of the half-point PPR, touchdowns meaning more. And after that, I do think there's plenty of ways you can go. I mean, some of the names here, let's sort it by sort ours by value right there. I don't think we need Taji because I prefer Chuba. ETN's in play at 75. Again, good game environment there. I think James Cook's in play more so. I prefer him if I would not play Josh Allen. Samir White is most definitely in play, starting running back 6,400. Stevenson's not someone I want to mess with Gibson this year. I'm nervous early in the year. Gibson might even overtake him. James Conner, I think's in play right there.
Cheap price tag.
Yeah, very cheap price tag.
Yeah.
And then we can overspend on some positions just because if you're playing Richardson, we'll get to some of these receivers. Tight end usually isn't too much of a spend. I wouldn't mind if you wanted to get up and play Rachaad White at 77.
Yeah, we have him projected, I think, probably lower than the industry, but I'm definitely interested in Rachaad White, and we'll talk about him a little bit more when we get over to DraftKings because the price is cheaper and his game fits DK scoring a little bit better. But I'd be interested in him.
Kenneth Walker too. Him and Kenneth Walker, I think, would be the guys right there. I mean,
I like Kenneth Walker.
Denver.
Yeah. So a lot of different ways to go. I think Kamara's probably the one that gets the most ownership in cash games. But after that, if you're playing, 3 running backs, playing 1 in a flex, I think it's pretty wide open, and no one's really going to break the bank for you unless you end up playing like Bijan Robinson. He's the only one that really has a big boy price tag. But like you said, this slate forces you to overspend a little bit. So I don't think it's necessarily the worst play, to be honest with you. Over on DraftKings, pulling it up here, let's just sort by value right out of the gate. James Cook is showing up very nicely, 6,900. Then you got Tajee Spears, Zamir White, Kamara's 6,700. You come down a little bit more. Kenneth Walker, we talked about, Bijan Robinson, Chuba Hubbard's at 53. Talked about White. Yeah, we have him projected probably a little bit lower than the industry, but I think he's definitely in the cash game conversation on DraftKings. So how does the DraftKings running back position differ from FanDuel?
It's pretty similar, maybe even a little harder. Like they sorted by value right there. I'll just go down the list. James Cook most definitely in play. Taji's in play for the price, but I still think I prefer Chuba, which is right in the same price. And the reason I'm saying that is just less competition. There's Tony Pollard there. I think they're going to ride the hot hand more times than not. So in cash games, I feel better with the floor, a higher floor with Chuba because of his touch equity. But
if Pollard's hand is as hot as it was last year, it could end up being a lot of Tajee Spears.
That's right. I'm not abandoning Pollard quite yet, though. I believe the talent, but you're definitely right. Just not an unknown I really want to do in cash. I think with Chuba right there is an RB1 without competition. And Ford. You see Ford right there for a little more expensive. Obviously, no Nick Chubb in the beginning of the year. I feel better with those two. Zamir White, good price tag, RB1. I like it. Kamara, I like it. ETN, I like it. Ray Davis, again, I'm not playing a backup running back in cash games this week. You don't need it. Kenneth Walker, I like it. Joe Mixon, I don't know if I'm going to have to get all the way up. Looking at Kamara's price tag, looking at Kenneth Walker's price tag, I'm fine with Mixon, I guess. The nature of this, though, is it's harder on DK, but I will say we do have Rachaad White projected a lot lower than the industry. Yeah. He's always a better DraftKings play than FanDuel because his receiving upside, he catches a lot off the backfield. But with that being said, I do not think this is going to be the same. Rachaad White's going to get the same volume as last year. They drafted a guy named Bucky Irving. Very good, explosive. I think when he steps on the field, he's going to make plays. And Rachaad White, at the end of the day, wasn't really efficient last year. When he did get there,
all volume.
All volume.
Based. Yeah.
There was no backup running back. They have one now that I think's actually good. So the more he gets on the field and he actually makes plays, I think the less Rachaad White might even get. Not saying like he's going to overtake him as the starter, but we played White last year because he got 90% of the work. I'm not quite certain that's going to be the case this year. Again, it is week 1, but yeah, that's again, running backs pretty tough.
Is there any competition for Kenneth Walker?
Charbonnet, but this feels like a real good Kenneth Walker. Minus 105 to score, home. Denver's not good. Yeah, I like me some Kenneth Walker. Charbonnet is solid too, though.
Yeah, but 6,100. But I mean, when Walker was healthy, I mean, he was the clear dude last year. You know, there was not much competition. So yeah, I'm good with that one too at 61. So yeah, there's definitely some guys in play here. Running back position will flip over. Check out some wide receivers. Before we do, please do us that favor. Hit the like and subscribe. Helps us out a ton, and then obviously helps us to keep all these shows for free, which all our shows are for free.
But last thing to note, I don't see myself really spending up for the JTs, the Bichons of this world on either site in cash, because the mid-tier, like those Walkers, Whites, James Cooks of the world, I look pretty similar and have offered a good amount of savings from them.
Yeah. So a lot of cheap plays so far, a lot of guys that we can save salary on. We're going to need some spends. And, the top spend on the slate in terms of, projected ownership, projected fantasy points, and just where people are going to go is most likely Tyreek Hill, 8,700 at home. Dolphins are projected to score a lot of points. He is an elite fantasy wide receiver. The matchup is good against Jacksonville. I'd imagine that he's probably a pretty popular cash game play this week for all the right reasons. Do have other spends on the slate. You have CD here. You have Jamar Chase, who it's not a lock to play. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming he's in, but T. Higgins.
T. Higgins he didn't practice today.
Yeah.
And I think
Chase,
you're right. Chase, I think Chase will play. Burrow said he's going to play.
Yeah.
And this Higgins stuff, I mean, that could really put a wrinkle in the slate.
Exactly. So, I mean, Chase could end up getting a pretty substantial boost. Like if Higgins is out, Jamar Chase would move up quite a bit. So that's something there's not much injury news that we're waiting for on the slate. And that could kind of impact what we do. We got Justin Jefferson up here. So those are the studs. You have the studs. This is really the only position where kind of all the studs are on this main slate, or majority of the studs. But if you do sort by value, our projections like McMillan for Tampa Bay, JSN for Seattle at 4,900. Is Shakir the number 1 in Buffalo? Is that really what's going on there?
Keon Coleman and Kincaid.
Okay.
I mean,
they're all kind of the same, though. I mean, I guess, Kincaid's probably the top option.
Kincaid's Keon's too, but
yeah. Good price for DK Metcalf. He's popping up as a solid value at 62. We have Josh Palmer, 52. That situation kind of scares me a little bit. Christian Walker, where they could be, or Christian Kirk, where they could kind of be playing from behind, 5,500. Jalen Waddle's good price tag on him at 63. Maybe if you're not playing Tyreek, maybe you could look him up at 63. Godwin, 58. A lot of guys here, but you're probably spending on at least one spot, potentially two. I mean, this is the one position where we do have the studs. So that's my initial thoughts at wide receiver here on DraftKings. What are you thinking?
Yeah, right now it looks like play Tyreek up top, 8,700 in a great game environment is just way too cheap. Like, it's just a way better spot than CD right now going against a better Cleveland team. it's a game environment you want to target. I love my man Jefferson. I'm playing some of GPPs, but it's like, how do you click Jefferson with Sam Darnold back there over Tyreek Hill to start the year in a really, really, really good spot? So it would be Jamar Chase. Yeah, I didn't see this, so this is definitely something worth monitoring. Like if T. Higgins was out, I didn't either. So if T. Higgins is out, that is something to monitor. And I guess we're gonna go. I'm gonna barbell it. If T. Higgins is out, it is Jamar Chase who's in play, but a punt, Andre Yoshivas, min price at $3K. A lot of hype in preseason, best ball. He overtook the 3 spot from Burton, who the rookie was, who was expected to make it out. And this kid was good. I mean, last year, later in the year, when there was they were rolling. What was the dude's name?
The quarterback. Chase Browning or something like that.
Yeah, Yoshi was good. Princeton product. So if Higgins is out, Yoshi gets a big bump for me at min price all the way at $3K. I will say we don't necessarily need it because 2 other guys that are down there at $4K that are pretty good. Adunze for Chicago, really good rookie out of Washington. Should have a good connection with Caleb Williams, was balling in the preseason right away. Way too cheap. And then all the way up, we had JSN, 4,100, another guy that's going to be very good or take a big step in his second year.
Yeah.
He had a good rapport there. So, those are the 3 values. I mean, another price that just absolutely sticks out, a couple of them. Drake London, 6K. Now, if you've watched our show, I've asked Drake plenty of times. That dude's costing me so much cheese.
So much.
But man, he finally has a quarterback. Donkey Arthur Smith is out, and he's 6K. Like Drake London should have a smash year in the dome this year. So that price is way too cheap. Christian Kirk, 5,500, way too cheap in the best game environment. And then Chris Godwin, 5,800, too cheap. Another guy, Malik Neighbors, 5,900. Again, bad offense. Talk about a guy that's got all the buzz throughout camp. Kids hashtag good, as they like to say. Way too cheap there. So I gave you all the ranges. I think it's Tyreek up top. You have the money. And then the mid-tier's loaded. London, Kirk, Neighbors, they should not be that cheap. I don't see Waddle's a good price too. I don't see myself going double stacking if I'm going Tyreek.
And that's the thing. And like if for some reason you don't go to Tyreek, like I think Waddle is definitely more viable. But I wouldn't play both of them in the same cashing life. But for some reason, if you have a build you like and it doesn't include Tyreek, which I think probably is a mistake, I think you probably should just be playing Tyreek in cash games. But for some reason you don't. Waddle at 63 definitely stands out to me as a solid value.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it's receivers mispriced. There's plenty of mispriced receivers this week, no doubt about that.
All right, let's check out FanDuel, and I'm just going to sort it by value because there's one. Yeah, so one name that I definitely wanted to talk about, and someone touched on it in the.
I'll pull up the comment. And yes.
Yeah, like 5,600. That's just an insane price tag for Chris Godwin. It just doesn't even make any sense. And I get his game fits DraftKings scoring much better than it does on FanDuel. Totally get that. We're talking 5,600. Like the cheap price for wide receivers is usually like 5K. Like obviously you can there's some guys in the 4K range, but 5K is the floor on playable dudes for the most part. Chris Godwin is a legitimate wide receiver, $5,600. Insane price tag, and I probably will be playing him this week. In terms of some spends, kind of the same story here. I want Tyreek over all these other dudes, and the gap is much smaller than over on DraftKings. Tyreek is 96, CD Lamb's 93. I'll pass on CD. Made us a lot of cheese last year, and there's going to be spots that we're going to be on CD and Dak, but I think this is like one of the worst spots ever for them on the road in Cleveland to start the season. Jamar Chase, we have some uncertainty around him. They're big favorites. Uncertainty around Justin Jefferson with Sam Darnold throwing the ball. So I think you're just playing Tyreek here. We talked about all the cheap running backs you can play. We talked about cheap quarterbacks you can play. It's going to be easy to play Tyreek. I think the Tyreek and Chris Godwin pairing at wide receiver is going to be very popular for cash games. probably just looking for one more spot. Give me some other potential names here, wide receiver on FanDuel.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple more because I don't look at Tyreek as much of a lock on FanDuel as I do DK, mainly for the reason of the Sunday night football game. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, all those guys are cheaper and good options in the highest total of the slate at 52. So yeah, I mean, Chris Godwin will be one of my core plays on the site. You're watching this for free. We don't like to beat around the bush, lie, say names that we're not playing.
No.
You watch a show, you get a guy right there. He will be there. But I don't see myself putting Tyreek because 96, Puka at 84. That's a solid price tag. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 8,900, 700 savings. That can go a long way right there. Again, going down a little bit. Cooper Kupp. What was this price tag? It was way too cheap. $7K for Cooper Kupp. I mean, yeah, there's been a lot of back and forth as Cooper Kupp washed, all these injuries, getting up there in age, Puka now taking it. I'm going to be buying Cooper Kupp at 7K until he shows me wrong, for sure. And 52 total right there. Michael Pittman, 6,500. And again, you don't need to stack by any means in cash games. 100 people, 50-50. Take 50th, you get paid the same as you take first place. But 6,500 for wide receiver 1 in a dome in a high total is way too cheap for Michael Pittman right there. So I'll be looking at him. Drake London, again, better price on DK than FanDuel, but he's going to be good. Like, he's someone I'm buying. Garrett Wilson's someone I'm buying. Like, this spot at 6,700, Kirk Cousins throwing the ball in the dome. I'm in on him. Last name, I don't even really know if I need another name.
Yeah, that's a lot of names. I think I don't think you're going.
Because you're playing Godwin, and then after that, you're mainly spending up that mid tier. Pittman feels like it should be a.
Well, if it comes down to, let's say it comes down to like Tyreek Hill and another punt/value play, or getting 2 wide receivers in that Detroit.
I'm taking the two
in the Detroit Rams game. I mean, I think that might make sense too. And our guy Brandon's in here, just he's got takes for every single player, every single team. Love the activity in the chat, man. We appreciate it, even though some of the takes are bad. But we still do appreciate it. Just
I will say, Godwin's moving back to the slot more this year, like he was a couple years back. So
yeah. At 56, he doesn't need to find the end zone. That's the whole point. Like at 56 in cash games, if he goes out there and gets 8 catches for 70 yards, you take it and you move on. And they give him some end around stuff and whatnot as well. So I mean,
at the end of the day, if a guy's 80%, like he gets you 1, you're not dead in cash games. You're dead in tournaments. That's why you play it differently. And last thing on this, they already said it's going to be Russell Wilson starting, so you don't gotta plan for that.
Yes, which sucks for the Steelers fans because Russell Wilson absolutely sucks at playing quarterback in the NFL, but that'll be for some other shows. All right, we'll go to tight end on FanDuel. I'm going to sort it by just projected fantasy points.
They got Laporta up there as prime Kelsey. Oh, man.
Yeah, so Laporta, again, we don't have the Detroit Rams game, Los Angeles game in here. We are working to get it added, but Laporta's what, 8K, right? 8K. So, yeah, they got the big boy price tag on Laporta. I mean, he was phenomenal last season, but 8K does seem a little bit much. I mean, probably good for GPPs because people will look to just save some money. But in GPPs, 8K for Laporta, I think is very interesting. Kincaid, I like a lot at 6,800. If you have the set, you have to imagine. I mean, you look at the wide receivers. Who are you mentioned the wide receivers for the Bills? Can you rattle off those names again? It's Shakir,
Keon Coleman, and I don't know about Chase Claypool for that one guy, but there's going to be a lot of 2 tight ends. Dawson Knox.
Yes. Kincaid's the best.
Oh, they got Curtis Samuel too. That's the other one.
Curtis, yeah. So Kincaid's their best receiver. Are you guys doing a video for tonight's single game? We are, and we're recording it right after this. Myself, Title, Tambo. I think it's going to be 2:15 Eastern start time. Give us a little break in between, then we'll fire it up. Man, my favorite shows to do, to be honest with you, those showdown shows. We're doing them all season long for every single showdown, island game. Myself, Title, Tambo. It's a good time. Come check it out right after this. Same channel. So that's 2:15 Eastern time. Kincaid, I like. I mean, if I have the money to play Kincaid at 68, that's probably the route I would personally look to go. You got McBride. They're probably trailing in that same game. Ferguson, I don't love all that much. I think Pitts is a fine option. Obviously gets the quarterback upgrade. Ingram, I believe is solid. I think, I'm probably going to be in the 6K range most likely in cash. What are your thoughts here?
I agree. Kincaid's fine. The 400 savings probably looks good with Trey McBride, though, and I'm just a big Trey McBride guy. Should be a good game script throwing it.
The only thing that sucks for him is Kyler Murray's tossing the football, and Murray's another shitty freaking quarterback.
Yeah, but just say they're down 14 or 21. If you think he's that bad, that they got to throw the ball. I just 6'4". Yeah, it should be way closer. Laporta, Kincaid's McBride, the pricing, than 1,216. But if you have the money, Kincaid, especially if you're playing Allen, I would give it a little boost there. McBride for 400 though, fine saving that. And Evan Ingram, I mean, great spot for Evan Ingram. Like that's just one of the best games you want to target on the slate. So him at 6'2", I probably wouldn't want to go below if you needed to. Njoku 300, but to be honest, I think I'd want to prioritize Evan Ingram, McBride, or Kincaid.
Yeah, I just Fran Millionaire asked about Bowers. Like, I just don't think you need any more savings. Like, you're going to have the money to get a legitimate tight end without question marks. I mean, there is Bowers could have a great year, no doubt about it. Could do well week one, but there's some risk there.
And like on a slate that we're talking where we have a lot of value, we know Evan Ingram's wide receiver. Tight end 1, but very, very part of that offense. McBride, wide receiver 1, sure, 2, whatever. Hart Harrison's there. Kincaid, the number 1 guy. Bowers in a bad offense. There's just more unknowns. There's more risk. Like he's very highly touted, but it's not the week I want to embrace risk in cash games when you don't need to with the salary. Perfect GPP play.
Yep. Over on DraftKings, you can always make the case go cheap at tight end. The pricing floor for tight ends is pretty low. I mean, sometimes we can find guys in the upper 2K range, lower 3s. I have it sorted here by value based on our projections. Kyle Pitts is showing up as the top option. $1,200 break between Pitts and Kincaid. Kincaid's 58, who we both kind of like, but $1,200 could potentially go a long way. Could get you that second stud wide receiver in your lineup. So Pitts at 46, I think, is appealing. We have Josh Oliver showing up.
Stop at Pitts.
Yeah, right. I mean, it makes sense at 46. I mean,
46 in a dome with Cousins. I know the little rumor with the hamstring or something, but assuming it all goes and this projections mean a lot. Like look at the value, 2.6. The next is 2.36. Yeah, 4,600 is way too cheap. So
agreed. It's a good spot to go. I mean, you're not breaking the bank. 4,600, a guy that has upside, got the quarterback upgrade in the dome. I think a lot makes sense there, and the price is solid. It's 4,600 is a good one. We don't talk a ton of defense here. Just go through and see what stands out. I imagine you probably have some money. Again, I haven't built out teams or whatnot for cash games. I imagine probably have some money, but man, usually at defense, it's like, give me whatever I can get and let's get the hell out of here. Anything standing out defensively here for you?
Not on DK, on FanDuel. The Falcons at 3,600 look pretty appealing against your favorite Russell Wilson.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
But I mean, just too cheap, like 3,600.
36, yeah, it shows up as our best value play. 3,600 at home against Russell.
But again, with all that being said, if I need to upgrade somewhere and I need to get off Falcons defense, I will get off Falcons. It's such a high variance sport. But DraftKings, nothing stood out. That'll be my last position I fill out for sure. FanDuel, if you can make Falcons work, it feels a little nice. But yeah, again, it's defense.
Yeah, the variance at the defense position is through the roof. We're rarely looking to pay top salary, trying to get out of there as cheap as possible in most cases. And some weeks we have the flexibility where we can, maybe spend a little bit more. But for the most part, you're trying to get out of the position as cheap as possible. 3,600 Falcons, a lot of people will be going there. So that's going to kind of do it. This format is the format we're going to roll with all season long for the most part. And like I said, this is to just kind of develop the player pool, get some initial thoughts And then obviously you come on over to SHIPITNation.com where we're going to lock in 4 cores on DraftKings, 4 cores on FanDuel to get you started with the teams. Those are plays that you should be starting your teams with, and then kind of, fill in the rest. But, week one's always a little different just because the pricing's always softer. The pricing came out very early, so some of these situations weren't as certain when the pricing came out. So we do have some standout values, but there's always donkeys out there lurking in the cash streets, as Title will tell you. So there's opportunity. It takes work. It's not as fun. It's not as sexy to play cash games and, head-to-heads and 50-50s where you're doubling your money and you don't have the chance for the big million. But if you grind it hard all NFL season, you can certainly have an edge. And, I think this is the right starting point for the cash game conversation because, again, Title is in these streets, not only for NFL, but every single sport, essentially grinding. And, other sites and other shows, they're just talking about the cash plays. They're not actually about them. Here, we're about them. So, Title, any final thoughts before we get on out here?
Yeah, I've been cash games pretty much my whole life. Is it the most sexy? Are you going to get the screenshots as much? No. How I approach it in my head is I hate losing money. If you play GPPs, you have to expect to lose almost every single day. That is the expectation. It's a lot more fun, in my opinion, doubling up your money or 1.7 your money than losing 80% of your buy-in. So that's how I look at it. There's a lot of fish out there for sure. We will, again, FanDuel, we're getting it sorted out. The Sunday night game, Lions, Rams, all that will be in the Shiptimizer. That'll be good to go. Do not forget about that. That is a very important piece. Hopefully some of the casuals out there do. No better time, 52 total. Mainly those wide receivers are who I'm looking at. But, yeah, just have fun with it. And, I saw a couple people in Discord were they watched the education video with you and Tambo, and you helped them transition more of their bankroll to cash games. Yeah. You can go 70-30. You can go 50-50, whatever it may be. It can help your losses sometimes, and you should play cash games different than tournaments. So chalk Tyreek Hill goes out. How could I ever donkey chalk? How could I ever play him in tournaments? Well, at least you got him in cash games and some of your bankroll there. So I'll be in the GPP streets, all that, of course, but you play it differently, helps diversify your portfolio. We're talking. Yeah, I'm excited to talk some cash with you every Friday.
Yeah, every Friday, same time, same place, Ship It Nation channel. On your way out, please hit the like button and subscribe button. It really helps us out and, keeps all our shows for free, which, like I said, all our shows are free. We're not doing any premium shows. So appreciate your support here. Good luck this week. Make sure to tune in. If you're watching this live, we'll be going live on this channel, breaking down the showdown slate for tonight, the Packers and Eagles game. So just stay here. Come on over. It's going to be 2:15 Eastern, so about 25 minutes from now. We'll get that started, get you on the path to finding the success for this showdown slate tonight. But either way, good luck in your cash game contest. We'll be back next week.
Obviously, I'm a part of the Ship It Nation community. I enjoy the Discord. I get a lot of information out of the Discord, and then I use the site, so all the slate plans, slate info, all that, the DVP stuff. I would say join a site because they do help and you get all the information and it saves you so much time.